Make sure you don't miss a thing. Go to starzology.com/newsletter and sign up. Welcome to the Starzology Astrology Podcast. I'm your host, Alison Price, and I'm here with my good friend and co-host, Arwynne O'Neill.
Hello, Alison. It's great to be here.
So nice to have you once more. So in this episode, we're going to go off at a different tangent. So we're actually going to be talking about Venus in your solar return chart.
Right.
So we have previously done episodes on solar return charts in general, and for those who are super fans and that I know a little bit aspiring astrologers, you'll know what a solar return chart is, but I will put a link below to that. But this time I wanted to share some of my ideas about Venus in your solar return chart.
That sounds amazing.
I know. So, well, that's what I thought too. I thought, gosh, I'll run this past Arwynne and I'll run it past our audience. And,
yeah.
Because I always believe that if you're an astrologer, you know, you might happen across something and go down and do some research, and this is how this came to be.
And that becomes one of your things.
And it becomes, you know, one of your things. And I just happened to pick on Venus because it kept popping up. So if we just start at the beginning. So a solar return chart is a chart that is cast every year on or around your birthday when the sun gets to the exact position it was in your natal chart.
Yeah.
So every year you will have a different solar return chart. Now, in the solar return chart, the sun is in the same position, but all the other planets move because it's a transit snapshot for that year.
Yeah, so you're casting it for the day of your birthday at the time that you were born, but for that year, not the birth year.
Yes.
Yeah.
So even though the sun doesn't move, all the other planets do. Yeah. And we do know, we may have spoken in the past, I can't recall, there is a pattern for the sun in the solar return charts, the moon in the solar return charts, but this time we're talking about Venus.
Yeah.
Venus's pattern in the solar return chart, which I've discovered is quite interesting.
Yeah.
So let me just go over what I'm actually talking about. So if you cast a solar return chart for your birthday, we're going to be specifically looking at Venus's positions. And the discovery that I've made, maybe I'm not the first one to make it, but what I've discovered is that there are really only 8 starting positions for Venus within your solar return chart.
Okay.
So you've got your natal chart, and then you've got your first birthday, second birthday, third birthday, fourth birthday, fifth, sixth, and seventh birthday. And each of those have a starting Venus position.
Okay.
And then it cycles back round. So on your 8th birthday, your Venus position is usually within a degree of your natal position. So and what actually happens is that when Venus is direct rather than retrograde, it's generally sliding forward or backwards in the actual zodiac about 1 to 1.5 degrees. And in some years, it's slightly less. So every 8 years, if you go back to the cycle, you've got this Venus position similar to the one it was 8 years previously.
Oh, wow. And that's because of the synodic cycle of Venus and how it is very closely linked with, obviously, the orbit of Venus. It's closer to the sun than Earth.
Yes.
So from our perspective on Earth, Venus is never more than 2 signs away from the sun.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what's happening is we know with Venus's retrograde cycle that it's retrograde 5 times in 8 years.
Right.
So this is part of the Fibonacci sequence, which we love.
That 5/8 thing.
The 5/8 thing. So what's actually I've discovered is that there's also an 8-year cycle where you have 8 different cycles of Venus positions threading through your life.
That is so interesting.
I'm glad you think so.
I think that's fascinating. That's amazing.
So what I've done is Owen and I have our tables in front of us. So we've got columns, and we've got 8 rows of the cycles. And I happen to be on a second cycle for this year, which is the one in the square block. That's 2025. And it's actually showing. So say, for instance, when I talk about what I'm actually saying. So in my solar return for 2025, which is part of, if I go back 8 years, it begins when I was 2.
Right.
So, and when I was 2, my Venus position was at 7 Cancer. Okay. And now, as we go, dare I say, 60 plus years on, it's now got to 11 Cancer. So over the course of my lifetime, it has crept degree, slowly forward from that starting position. It's easing forward.
Right. And this is so we're looking at something, just for our audience, we're looking at something that's kind of like a multiplication table. And it's got, cycle 0, cycle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 down the y-axis,
right,
down the left side of the
Go
page.
Virgo.
And then across the top of the page, we've got year 0, year 8, year 16, year 24, since we're both of a certain age, they
Yes.
go up to, the 50s and 60s, etc.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is fascinating. And then you've nicely filled them almost all in, which is crazy. And then put a square around the current year.
Yes. So this is 2025 because you and I, we've got our birthdays coming up.
Yeah.
And this year my solar return Venus will be at 11 Cancer.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And I'm on cycle 2, which started at 7 Cancer.
Right. I'm in cycle 4, and I am at 3 degrees Leo.
And where did cycle 4 start?
Oh, it started at 0 degrees 8 minutes Leo.
Yeah.
So now it's at 3 degrees 11 minutes Leo.
So this is it. So in the course of your lifetime, which is substantial, as is mine, Venus is slowly creeping almost less than 1 degree each solar return cycle of 8 years.
Yeah.
So to be quite clear, it's not necessarily the solar return that's triggering this. It's Venus is back at the same position it was 8 years ago,
right.
And it's got this pattern.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to get to with this is that depending how old your next birthday is you're going to be, will show which cycle which is your origin cycle chart and your origin position by sign. So as I say, because I'm on cycle 2 and my origin position is 7 Cancer for my Venus, and this year it will be 11 Cancer.
Yeah.
So it's the sign is threading all the way through my life on cycle 2.
Right. Through those 8-year increments.
Yes.
So would you say that there's a different flavor for each cycle?
This is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Is that because natally I've got Venus in Virgo, but in my cycle 2 it's actually in Cancer.
Yeah.
So because it can only be 2 signs ahead of or behind. So in this particular case, it's behind my natal position, and that's what I'm calling my 1 Cancer thread going through. I do have another one because there's 8 cycles, and you've only got an option of five signs. So if you've got Venus in Virgo, it could be in Virgo, Leo, or Cancer, or Libra, or Scorpio. So you've only got 5 potential signs, but we're talking about 8. Did you hear the numbers here?
8.
So we've got 8 cycles. So going,
This is so interesting, and I mean, I kind of wish that the audience could see this and appreciate this.
So they'll have to go to the website page, and I'll put one of the tables up.
Amazing. That would be wonderful because the visual is really compelling. But the meat of it is that if you cast your solar return chart or go to an astrologer and ask about your solar return chart, you will have Venus in a certain sign. It'll be there. But the cool thing is that it repeats every 8 years. It'll come back to that same sign.
And it's like eclipses do the same thing, right? They are repeating over the period.
Totally.
So here we've got this, I want to call it a hidden pattern of Venus.
Yeah.
In the solar return, because technically, if you wanted to look at the love life every year, technically you would cast a Venus return chart. Right. But, I mean, who does that? Solarfire does it, but, the average Joe's not going to do that.
Yeah.
But if you do your solar return chart, you can now also predict the actual position that Venus is going to be in your solar return in the next year, because I know it's going to be in Cancer, and it's probably going to be at 12 Cancer.
Yeah.
And there's a certain prediction there. So what's happening is in each of the different cycles, Venus is just slowly creeping from its start position of the first cycle chart, slowly creeping forward if it's direct. If it's retrograde, I only have 1 retrograde cycle. Of course, you could have more. Yeah. The retrogrades go slightly faster, so it seems to be moving back at about 2 to 3 degrees each year. But so my retrograde from birth is remaining in Virgo, and then it creeps actually then into Leo as it passes the Sun, retrograding backwards during this period. So my retrograde movement is far faster or wider than the direct motion.
Yeah. Wow.
I know. So
who says girls aren't good at math?
So, and then the next question has to be, so what? And I think the what of it is that we've got, if we say that Venus represents two things, love and money,
Yeah.
we've got particular cycles running through as themes, running through our lives every 8 years, and these cycles are repeating.
Yeah.
So it's not the same thing every year.
It's like a miniature Venus return.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is it. So this year coming up, I'm still I've got the Venus in Cancer cycle.
Yeah.
And I want to say it's been a year of, it's coming up in a couple of months, so that the actual return chart's not upon us, but it's 2 months down the road. It's going to, when it's in Cancer, Venus is, from my point of view, it's more frugal.
Yeah.
Or love is closer to home.
Yeah.
Because it's that sort of thing.
Yeah. Nesting.
Yes. Well, imagine. Yeah. Redecorating the house or something.
Yeah. So
that's one way of looking at it. And I'm sure that you have, what's your natal Venus position?
It's in Libra. Yeah.
Oh, it's in Libra. So which signs do you have? What are your 5 sign options?
So it would be Libra, Leo, Virgo, and Cancer. There should be.
Yeah, if you come down here, you should see the starting positions.
Yes. I am looking for Scorpio, and I'm not seeing it.
Yeah.
Weird. I guess there must be retrogrades. Yeah,
So
I'm seeing Libra, Leo, Virgo, Cancer.
There you go. So you've only got actually 4 signs that Venus could be in, and
That's
Scorpio's
bizarre.
not that. I know.
I mean, you'd think that it would, but no.
Not necessarily.
Wow,
Yeah.
interesting.
So
I mean, honestly, Venus in Scorpio. No offense to anyone, but I don't need that kind of trouble.
yeah. So and for myself, I have, of my 8 positions, the sign wise, I've got Virgo, Cancer, Libra, Leo, Cancer, Virgo, Cancer.
Yeah.
So again, it's only 4, isn't it?
Only
It's
4.
Virgo, Cancer, Libra. So I don't have any in Gemini, but I could have had.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. So I've got Cancer. I've got 1, 2, 3 in Cancer, and I've got 2 in Virgo. Yes, no, 3 in Virgo. Yeah.
Oh.
So again, what am I saying? So what I'm saying is that these cycles, that if you go back 8-year cycles regarding love and money,
yeah, there's patterns. There's
patterns built in there.
Yeah.
And I always thought when I was younger that when you got married and you have to get a marriage license, I always thought the thing should just expire after 7 years because by then you're happy and you're going to move forward, or you just want to dissolve it. And that I was picking the 7-year because that's the quarter movement of Saturn, right? The square to the point.
Is that why you picked that? Wow.
Yeah, that's why I thought it should be 7 years.
Not because of the 7-year age. But
Well,
maybe
that's
the
where it's
7-year
coming
age is
from.
because of
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
But now I'm thinking, your marriage license should expire after 8 years because your Venus and your love life and what you admire and what you attract and what you want in your
What is the amount of time it takes to shed all of the skin of your epidermis? Is that a 7-year cycle?
Ooh.
You're a brand new woman every 7
Or
years?
rebuild your skeleton, isn't it? The whole thing. I don't know. We must look into that,
Right.
and we'll get back to that.
Totally.
So the point being that we can now predict, just by knowing where your solar return is this year and where it's going to be next year, where it's actually going to be as well. So the patterns are repeating.
Yeah. So when someone comes to you for a consultation, and part of that, I understand it, you will do a solar return chart for their upcoming.
Yes.
If they're asking about transits in the upcoming.
Well, they always do
one
anyway because
does.
they're always asking.
Yeah. So how would you interpret this in someone's chart when they come to you?
Well, if they are specifically asking about love and money.
Yeah.
Which,
aren't they always?
Well, yes. This is the thing. You always need to be ready for those questions. They call it the doorknob question. They're going out the door, their hands on the doorknob, and then they say, "Oh, but will I find love this year?" And it happens every single consultation.
In a nutshell.
Yes, everybody wants to know about love and money because really it's a human drive.
Those are the things that make the world go round, aren't they?
We're hardwired to find a mate and copulate, right?
Love, money, gravity. Yeah.
Put the genes forward.
Yeah.
So the idea is that if you say, for instance, the year you married Mr. Right, you would see, well, which cycle was that on? And then we could see how this is actually going to be evolving over the course of these years. Will you make it for the first 8 years? Are you making it through to 16? And stuff like that. Yeah. Alternatively, one would ask, well, when were you in financial dire straits? When did you file for bankruptcy? When were you, having to move back to your mother's basement financially? and the pattern has to show through there too.
Right.
I would assume. Now, as I say, this is just my ideas about Venus retrograde.
Yeah.
Venus in a solar return chart. And if you like solar return charts, and we like doing them, most of the planets will just pop into any position where they happen to be transiting. But Venus has this pattern.
Yeah.
And it's this 8 pattern that is part of itself. You've got 8 cycles over 8 years. Yeah. And it has to relate to, again, these, well, it's clearly the cycle, the retrograde cycle that Venus actually, it's like a little clock ticking around. And I also suggest that it will, even though our clocks and that change on February the 29th, the sun is always at the position. The sun is always at that same position. Yeah. So astrologically, these are going to be more correct.
Yeah.
So here's the question then. If you've got natally, you've got Venus in Virgo. I mean, it's in fall. It's not a good position for Venus. And I've tended to, because that's natally, that's probably the dominant cycle. Yeah. But this year, I'm on cycle 2.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, Venus in Cancer.
Yeah.
What are we doing? We're going to, as you say, decorate the house once more.
Yeah.
I mean, I bought a piece of art last week. It's like,
like,
is there another wall left? Well, I don't know. So which position have you got coming up this year?
Well,
then?
I mean, Venus in Leo is pretty flamboyant and
look at
extra.
You. And I can tell our listeners that Arwynne's got some spectacular, what would you call that, violet hair?
I would call this kind of a fuchsia sort of violet situation.
Fuchsia-violet combination of, it's very flamboyant. It's
pinkish violet.
Yes, it's fabulous. It's and you rock it.
Thank you.
You know,
I think this is a very Libra color actually, because
really,
yeah. I did I can't even remember. I think it was part of one of my before I did the Badass Goddess calendars. I did zodiac pinups,
right?
And I sort of identified like a color for each of the signs, which was kind of like based on the traditional, but also the water, air, blah, blah, blah. And my color for Libra was always like this sort of violet, pinkish violet.
Yes. And I think the cover of your calendar was purple.
It's always, because I'm, Ms. Pink.
Ms. Pink. Yeah, it's Ms. Pink. It's a dark pinky purple. It's very, and what did we say your Venus was in this year?
This year it's in Leo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so big old pink hair.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I've only got one cycle of Venus in Leo. I've got 3 in Virgo and then 3 in Cancer. So my Venus is leaning towards those more passive signs as well, which is kind of interesting. Yeah. Because natally my Venus is not that strong because it's in Virgo. It's quite a demure Venus.
Venus in Virgo is great, though. I do appreciate a good... I think we've talked about this many times before, but my partner has Venus in Virgo, and so do the vast majority of guys I've dated or been in relationships with for some reason. Like, it's eerie, actually. My ex-husband and my high school boyfriend and
it's probably triggering your Venus
my first
planets.
love. Literally, it triggers all of my Venus planets, and they just they see something ideal, and I feel seen, and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah. Because Venus is a planet. I mean, its archetypes are about its love. It's that Venus coming out the shell. Who was the artist?
Botticelli.
Was it?
Venus on the half shell.
Yes.
Yeah.
Venus is the essence of beauty, and even our very first artifacts that they're digging out from
Venus of Willendorf.
Yes,
and the fertility symbols.
Göbekli Tepe, or I can never get that.
Tepe.
There you go. They've still had Venuses there with the big boobs and the
and just praying for
curves.
fertility. Exactly. Yeah.
Because, and why did they do it? Because it's important. They want to
procreate, to be fruitful and multiply.
Yes, go forth and multiply. And then you want your crops to grow, and you want your sheep and your lambs, and we want to thrive and survive. Yeah. And we do this through fertility on such a basic level.
Yeah. And then Venus came to mean more than just the procreative form of love. It came to mean all the other things, the other trappings of love, which involve being attractive to your mate and being charming and having a lovely home and making people feel welcome and all of those things.
Smelling nice.
Smelling nice.
Yeah.
Having nice clean sheets and
all of those things.
Stuff.
All those
Flowers
things.
in a vase.
Flowers in a vase.
Yeah.
Things that you keep alive. Yeah.
Things you keep alive. Because,
Yeah.
oh, that's such a lovely way to say it. Because, I mean, Cancer is about nurturing, but Venus, the Libra side of Venus is very much about keeping love alive and partnership and negotiation and working
at it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because Libra is a very business-like sign. It has this reputation because of its association with Venus, but it is, as you know, it's a very Saturnian sign as well. It's very business-like and very practical. So it's I mean, as anyone in a successful relationship knows, it is a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It is. And then if we look at Venus on the other side, which is the financial, the money income side of it, as its rulership through Taurus, it's all about your acquisitions.
Yeah.
If you're an art collector, it's that.
Right.
And it's how you manage your money. Do you just splurge?
Right.
Does it burn a hole in your pocket? Can you not save?
Right.
Is your credit,
It's weird to say lucky with money, but there is a thing where you make your own luck, as you know, as a Leo.
Yes.
But the thing of attracting money to you and passive income, and do you make the right partnerships? Do you have good instincts?
Do people give you gifts?
Right. I mean, do you make your money through your marriage or through the right judicious partnerships with the right people, or do you always find yourself being scammed by people or somehow having to support others and
and really it's about what do you spend your money on? Are you the one who wants the bargain tin of baked beans, or will you splash out and get a salmon because it's a quality food?
Right.
How do you value? There's another word, right? What you're doing with your money,
right? Or do you eat the baked beans so you can afford the beautiful purse that you wear around outside, and everyone thinks, "Ooh, look at her," and then you're going home and eating beans out of a can.
Yes. Yeah. Well, this is it, right? Or you're driving that Ferrari or something.
Right.
Is it? Do you flash it or?
And then can't pay the mortgage and whatever.
Whoa.
Right.
Yes, you're quite right.
It's a balance, and there's that Libra thing. That Libra thing about it's all balance.
Yeah.
What do you value, and what is going to be a good investment in the long term, and
yes.
Or do you just is money just a comfort to you, and you use, what is that called, where you the shopping therapy,
retail therapy.
Retail therapy.
Yeah. I know it's they sell it to us because we're constantly being sold to. Constantly. And can you resist it? That you need your sheets whiter than white if you get whatever it is they're selling.
Yeah.
So it's to do with what you value and what you appreciate. And I imagine that back in the cave dwellers, who had the neatest, tidiest, well-decorated cave,
Oh, yeah. Sure.
And it's the same today.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
How is your cave? It's
Caveman TikTok is blowing up right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So having said all this and brought forward this pattern that I've seen, as I say, I'm probably not the first person to have seen it, but I've never read about it previously. Mm. And what I want to say is that, as I usually say to most of my students, that once you start to learn astrology, don't just take it as read that, the old boys did it this way, we're going to do it that way. If you find something that's interesting, or you see some pattern such as this, or when I did the Oriental Planet thing and I did all this research and came up with these theories about what's actually happening in these charts. And I'm not saying I've got all the answers to so what, but what I'm saying is that doing research into astrology is something that every astrologer ought to be doing.
Yeah. To
be saying, I'm looking into this area.
Yeah.
And honestly, these are the people we want on our podcast. You can say, Alison and Arwynne, I'm doing research into X, Y, Z, and I'd love to share it with your audience. Totally. Rather than just
discovered something new.
Yeah.
100%.
And it doesn't have to be right, and it doesn't have to be fully fleshed out either.
Yeah.
But
it just has to be interesting.
It does. And that you're actually thinking beyond what it says in the books.
Yeah.
Yeah,
totally.
Because we're either reading books from the last century or from 2,000 years ago. There's, it doesn't seem to be much fresh stuff recently.
Yeah.
But
I have a great example of that. And I mean, yes, it's from like 20 years ago. But honestly, it was one of the most novel things that I found when
Yeah.
I was getting back into astrology. And I say back because I was raised with it as a child.
Yes.
But I got back into it in my 20s. And one of the first websites that I found that was fascinating. And I know that it's kind of moved into Facebook now, and there's Facebook groups that, you know, post a bunch of pictures of, you know, I'm just not a big Facebook gal, so it just kind of annoys me. But this website was so cool, and it was called Astro Faces, and it's probably still there, frozen in time from like the mid-2000s. But basically, it was positing the theory, which is very, very compelling, that people who have the same sun, moon, and rising sign have similar features. And that when you see pictures of them, especially the pictures that they choose to send, you will see these incredible likenesses, these incredible similarities. And yes, in fact, you do. And when I looked at like the Virgo Scorpio people,
combination, yes,
I was blown away. And I immediately submitted my photo, and it's ridiculous. It's eerie. And men, women, you know, all races, all ages. You see a very similar like
theme.
Yeah. There's just something about it. There's just, even if it's not like the same face shape, there could be just something about the tilt of the head, or something about the way you carry yourself, or the intensity in the eyes, or even, you know, just a little overly elaborate, like caring about the hairstyle or something.
Yes,
there's something compelling. And I noticed like there's certain groups that were almost never filled in. Like maybe nobody from that group. You're like, oh, maybe they're just extra private, that, you know, whatever.
Yes.
And some of them had a ton. Some, like, I think, you know, the Virgo Scorpio one actually had like a lot compared to some others. But yeah, that was one of those, and that was definitely like novel research. Like this guy just had he had this weird theory, and then a bunch of people submitted things, and then it kind of like fell by the wayside because I guess it didn't get that much traction because it was the early 2000s.
Yeah.
You know, now it would probably be, you know.
Yeah. But it just shows you that if something in astrology interests you, that you find really interesting, and you could sort of join the dots and therefore see a pattern, because we know there are patterns in astrology.
Yeah.
We've got the sun going around once a year. We've got the moon going around once a month. Yeah. We've got these Venus patterns for sure. Yeah. We've certainly got eclipse patterns every 18 years.
Totally.
That's something you don't even realize.
We're not even getting into progressions. I mean, my God.
Yeah. So, well, yes.
Right.
So you've got all these kind of patterns happening, and here's this one for Venus in the solar return chart. And as I said, there is a pattern for the sun and the moon. We'll talk about that another day, but the other planets don't have it.
Yeah.
So I just found it was interesting, and as I say, I'm not quite sure where I'm going with it all, but it's nice to know that this year I'm on the I know I've got the Cancer Venus coming through, and I can go back and say, well, I can't remember when I was, 2, what was I doing?
But what were you doing 8 years ago?
8 years ago.
8 years before that,
How was my year for love and money?
Right.
And that's what everybody wants to know. And if you're actually doing readings for people, you could be saying, oh, and this year you're in the, your 2-year cycle, and you've got the Cancer, Venus, or whatever sign you happen to have.
What was up when you were, 48 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that you can... I want to say almost have hope if you are even trying to read your chart to say, well, this is just this one cycle, and then I've got a new Venus.
Yeah.
Which is great, because I mean, after I've got this Venus in Cancer, next year in 2026, I've got Venus in Libra. I'm thinking, yes, because it's a good position. I think
highly recommend it.
You've got a couple of Venus in Libras too. We just happen to be, we've got similar sun signs. That's why our Venus signs are close.
Right.
But if you were a Pisces, you'd have Aries, Pisces, and Aquarius options. And,
whole different world.
Yeah, a whole different thing going on. And you would definitely then get your Venus in Pisces, and that would then be an exaltation, and therefore that would more likely to be a positive year.
Yeah.
I would assume that if it's in its own sign of Libra, that should be a positive year, because it'll get a +5.
Totally.
When they're retrograde, they're minus. It's not a good year, really.
Yeah.
And then you've got other positions that you could make commentary about.
Yeah.
But the main themes are that if I've got 3 and I have 3 cycles of Venus in Cancer, that is definitely a theme.
Yeah.
Which I don't have anything in Cancer.
Yeah.
Whereas I've also got 3 Venuses in Virgo, which I get that. But this Venus in Cancer, and as you say, it comes down to, honestly, home decorating. And no matter where I live, I just can't have,
Yeah.
Potato chips and a jar of Tylenol on the side. It's I should have been an interior decorator in a previous lifetime or
Definitely.
something.
Yeah.
But I just have anyway. So what I'm saying there is that leaning into the Venus in Cancer, which is to do with your home, beautifying the home and trying your best to, make it look nice.
Yeah.
And I know years ago we were looking at a house and it was in a street called Hind Quarter Road.
Oh.
And I said, well, we're not living on that street.
Right.
Because of the name. I mean, the house itself was fine.
Yeah.
I said, I'm not living on a street called
No.
Hind Quarter Road.
No.
I
do. Yeah. I'm with you.
And this sort of thing that it's just, the aesthetics has to it's got to look good, even if it's just
I mean, you'd have to put your address everywhere. You'd be like just grimacing as you're writing it down for like the whole time you live there. No.
Yeah.
You have to abbreviated HQR. Like no one knows what that is. No way.
In South Africa, I think it was in Boksburg, there was a street called Skane Boulevard, which is Skane is Afrikaans. It was Skane Boulevard, but the one business that we had to deal with, they were number 4 Skane Boulevard, so we always used to call them Foreskin Boulevard, and it was just terrible, and because it just rolled off the tongue that way.
Yeah, of course.
I mean,
so to speak. Yeah.
I know. So it's different if you were 17. You wouldn't get the connection, but you've got to look into these things, right?
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay, so to our listeners, thank you so much for getting all the way through our podcast. So I've been going through explaining to you my theories on your Venus in the solar return chart. We've spoken about the 8 cycles that you will have, and therefore the potential 4 or 5 signs your Venus can be in, and therefore that there has to be a theme running through. And I urge you to cast all your solar returns and work all this out so you know what's going on in your lives. We've done it for Arwynne as well, and it's just kind of interesting that she's got no Scorpio, but you do have a retrograde, I think. I'm not even sure. I can't remember.
Must have, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so if you found value in this episode, please do consider sharing it with anybody who would be interested. Make sure you're getting our newsletter, and you can sign up at starzology.com/newsletter. And then additionally, make sure you're getting Arwynne's newsletter, and you can find her at...
You can find me at mspink.net. That's mspink.net. And I am sending out my weekly newsletter every Saturday, and I'm blogging about goddesses and a bit of astrology and books and movies and interesting things.
Interesting stuff going.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a great read. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me. This has been great.
Yeah. And thanks to our listeners, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.